As I mentioned earlier, the Biden administration launched an assault on parental rights in education. Aside from curriculums, according to Parents Defending Education, at least 20,000 schools in 1,100 districts have policies that prevent faculty and staff from disclosing a student's gender identity to his parents without the student's permission. What is the Department of Education doing to hold these schools accountable?
Well, if I'm not incorrect, that falls under, FERPA, which clearly is a statute that says that parents have the right to the information that is contained in their children's records, and I absolutely believe that to be true.
Thank you.
Thank the gentlelady.
Mr. Chair, could I ask unanimous consent to enter 3 articles into the record?
Without objection.
Okay, first, parents of private voucher students spent over $1 million of public money buying Lego sets. 2, Arizona Empowerment Scholarships with $304 million bought. And 3, analysis, more than half of ESA students come from high-income zip codes. Thank you.
Without objection, they are submitted. I now recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Mannion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Secretary McMahon. Today's hearing is an important one. Since the start of the administration, students, families, and educators across the country have been incredibly concerned about the direction that you and the President are attempting to take, both in K-12 and higher education, and your attempts to weaken or close the Department of Education are acts of recklessness and have already done significant damage. There's a lot I'd like to ask about, but in your fiscal year 26 budget request, I want to discuss programs serving students with disabilities. Your budget recommends consolidating 7 programs under the IDEA into a single block grant to states. So you're specifically talking about eliminating special education programs for preschools, teacher preparation, parent information centers, technical assistance, and educational technology. I was a teacher of AP biology and chemistry and 15-to-1 living environment. I'm also the parent of a student with a disability. And I acknowledge that you intend to maintain the overall funding level for IDEA under this consolidated grant. But structure matters. These programs were created independently for a very good reason, to ensure proper oversight, to serve different populations, and to meet the full range of needs for students with disabilities. Madam Secretary, how can you assure us that states will maintain sufficient support for all of these critical areas like preschool special education and parental assistance if the federal government no longer requires them to do so under separate targeted programs?
Well, I think funding under the Grants to States program would continue to be allocated to the states and LEAs in accordance with Section 611. So that will remain. What we found is that we have so many of these different diverse programs, and if there are I think there's 6 of them in total, that would come under a block grant, and states would have greater flexibility in terms of making sure that that IDEA funding went to where it should be. The whole, I'm sure you know probably better than anyone, or as well as anyone, that the process of writing grants, the people you have to hire, the strings that are attached, when individual grants, do come in, is really burdensome and expensive. And so the hope is, and the goal is, that by giving this in terms of the one grant bucket, if you will, that there are less strings attached and it affords greater flexibility for states to put that money where it's needed.
If a school district does not follow the proper mechanisms for administering that grant for the students to receive the individualized services that they need, is there any specific accountability measures that will occur coming out of the Department of Education or any other federal government agency?
Well, there's always the opportunity of defunding. We don't want to take any of the tools off the table, but I would like, if there is a specific question, I would always want to look into that and to find out exactly. Well, we'd always investigate. If there are reports that this is not being spent the way it's supposed, we'd always investigate.
There's been a lot of discussion and questions regarding parental access and parental input. So I was in a classroom for almost 30 years, and over the course of those 30 years, what I saw was the implementation of emails, online grades being able to be accessed by parents, shared decision-making committees, an increase in the number of parent-teacher conferences and meet the teacher nights, the ability for students to audio tape or videotape lessons, and teachers themselves providing curriculum online and posting their lessons, sometimes a video recording of their lessons online. So is it your opinion that over the course of those 30 years that parents have less access to information about their students' education?